Hi, I'm at London Film and Comic Con 2012. We're here with Gary Kurtz, producer of Star Wars. Hi Gary, how are you today? How's the convention going?
It's fine, yes.
I just want to start with talking to you a bit about actually a new project that you're working on. I think it's a film called Panzer 88 that you've been producing.
Yes.
Maybe you could tell us a bit about that.
It's a World War II story set in Russia. It's about a German tank crew that gets lost from its unit, and it's actually more a relationship story than it is a war film, really, because there's only one small tank battle at the beginning, and the rest of it is just about the tank crew trying to figure out what they're doing.
In terms of casting, how far along are you? Have you got any names?
Well, it's Thomas Kretschmann, the German actor, is one of the key people, and we're out to about half a dozen others right now waiting for the reading process, and it's slightly frustrating it's like a jigsaw puzzle trying to put the pieces together, because we had a couple of people that were very interested in doing two of the parts, but we couldn't match that with the time frame for the others. So but we should have that settled within the next month, and we expect to shoot next winter in Germany and Poland.
And when are we looking for a release date, possibly?
Well, depending on the visual effects and things, it'll probably be towards the end of next year.
Something else I wanted to talk to you about was a long time ago when you were working on the Return of the Jedi, I believe it was. There was a chance that you'd come up with an alternative ending for it, which basically took out the Ewoks. I think it ended on a more darker note, once Luke Skywalker dying.
Well, that wasn't a change. The original outline for Jedi was quite different, and it was changed to the way the film was made after they decided that they wanted a more upbeat story and more action, less drama. So in my estimation, it was less strong, less powerful. But I suppose from a merchandising point of view, it was more effective the way it was.
So you're a producer on the Return to Oz, the Wizard of Oz sequel.
Yes.
I know you put a large amount of money into that. It was quite. I personally will say I love the film. When I grew up watching it as a kid, it was one of my favourite films. But how do you feel then? I think it sort of did it not do too well at the box office, or?
It didn't do very well when it first came out. It was one of those films that happens at all the studios where the studio management changed while we were in the middle of making the film. So all the films that came out in 1984 and 5 for Disney were all from the old administration, and the new group, Michael Eisner and his people, came in, didn't really want to push those films very much because they had their own agenda, they had their own films they wanted to do. So it got lost in that vortex there, and it did not do very well theatrically. They didn't put very much marketing money behind it. But then later on, in video and DVD, it did very well, and they released it theatrically a couple of times. And so it's just one of those, it did eventually do fine, but nowhere near the numbers that you would expect for a large picture at that time. But
it is true that a lot of films do eventually find an audience.
The ancillary market is a big help, because there are quite a few films that do good box office and then don't do well in the ancillary markets, and there are others that are just the reverse, that don't open very well at all, and all of their income comes from the ancillary markets, but they still do fine.
I think a film that was quite a big hit for you was the Dark Crystal. It's a much loved film, and there's a lot of fans out there who find it quite scary as well at times. So we spoke to some of the puppeteers here today. What was your experience working on that?
Well, that was probably one of the most difficult films I've ever worked on, ever produced, because using animatronics, everything was live on the set. There was no CGI work then, and the only visual effects that we had in optical effects were a few matte paintings, putting in mountains in the background of a few shots. So it was all done live on the stage, and there are some big scenes where we had 80 to 90 puppeteers working at the same time. And so to coordinate all of that was really time-consuming. So we would get very little done during certain days. We could spend an entire day rehearsing and not shoot anything. So it was a long schedule on that, and I seriously doubt if anyone tries to make a film like that anymore, partially because we have CGI now and it's so easy to use, but also because the technical people who do animatronics aren't available anymore. Most of them have gone on to other things, and there's no Henson workshop anymore. And that was the premier workshop for doing animatronics.
Talk a bit about your working relationship with George Lucas. You've had quite a long partnership together. You produced American Graffiti back in the day. I know it's been announced that he's sort of going back to working on indie films again, following Red Tails. I mean, are you going to be helping him with those or producing any of those, or any idea of what you got planned?
No, he's always talked about doing some small, more intimate films, similar to what we did with American Graffiti, and I think that would be good for him if he did that. I think he probably feels a bit trapped by the Star Wars phenomenon and having to spend so much time with it. So I think it is good that he's talking now about retiring, handing over the Star Wars merchandising business really to somebody else and go back to doing smaller films. I think that's what he really liked doing in the first place.
Did you have any part of Red Tails? Did you ever get into?
No, nothing at all. I've been doing my own things for a long time.
So Panzer 88 is currently the only film you've got in production at the moment?
I'm doing an animated film in China with a Chinese animation company, which is just in script development right now, but we'll be working on over the next 4 years. And I'm developing scripts with writers for 3 other live-action films that won't be ready until next year either. So they would be done after Panzer.
Okay. Are there any titles or anything?
Not yet, no. There's not really ready to talk about.
Okay. We'll look forward to that. It's going to be fantastic.
Okay.